Good morning, Washington! Anybody know who this is? This is Chris Core. It says right there, Chris Core. This is a Chris Core mug. When Chris worked at WMAL, he had the late morning shift, 6 to, or what was it? This is when he was in the evenings on MAL, 6 to 9 p.m. But he also worked the late morning shift there for a while. And Chris has worked at WMAL. He worked there for like 2 decades. He did the Trumbull and Core afternoon show for many years. He did the morning show there for a while, and then he got ceremoniously canned. What was that? 08 or 09? It was on February 29th. They Citadel, the owner of the station, just said goodbye to a whole bunch of people, and they flipped formats and everything, and Chris was gone. And then he went over to WTOP, where he does the core values commentaries these days. And he did a show on Channel 50 for a little while. But he's one of the radio greats, Mr. Chris Core. And, of course, he's famous for doing his testimonials. You know, he does the advertising testimonials. He's all over the airwaves, personally recommending this roofer or this, laser eye surgery center or whatever. Good guy, Chris. Okay, we're coming up to the grand birthday celebration of yours truly. I'm starting to get some cards in the mail. One of my friends sent me a card. They said, for my birthday, I have won an all-expense-paid hunting trip in Sarah Palin's Alaska with Sarah Palin. So I'll be heading up north pretty soon. I don't know. That may be a bad decision. And also my sister, who's out on the left coast, sent me this in the mail the other day. Isn't that cool? A little pink flamingo ornament there. My mom is a big fan of pink flamingos. You know, she saw a pink flamingo in somebody's trash or whatever. She'd pick it up and we'd have to carry it home. But anyhow, my sis sent me this. She and her new boyfriend out there in the left coast found us in a curio shop and immediately thought of me. So thank you very much, sis. And what's the big news? The big news today, folks. Let's see. The big news today. The Washington Post runs a correction. I ranted about this the other day, and they finally did. They got to it a couple weeks later. A January 20 style article about the sale of WTOP and other radio stations owned by Bonneville International incorrectly said that WWT and WTLP are AM stations. They are FM stations. Of course, WTOP's main signal is 103.5, and it's relayed on 2 other signals, one in Warrenton and one in the Frederick area, and they're both FMers. Okay, WWT is 107.7, which is FM, and WTLP is 103.9, Frederick, both FMers. So, anyhow, good to see the Post, acknowledging their errors, their multiple errors. Also in this morning's Post, big full-page ad from Al Jazeera. Watch us, aren't we great? It is a good channel. I mean, you may not agree with everything they say and all that, but they do for an Arabic network, Arabic language network that also runs an English language channel, and they do have a Washington bureau here. They really do it. They try to do a pretty good job of down the middle with the coverage of what's going on in Egypt and throughout the Middle East in these harrowing times. Of course, if you're in the Washington area, you can get Al Jazeera on Channel 30, WNVC television, which is a public television station that is not a member of PBS. They're over in Merrifield, Virginia, Fairfax Falls Church Line, and they run 10 different channels. Okay, they have 5 channels on. It's confusing. Channel 30 is actually Channel 24 and Channel 30, but your TV set will say it's all Channel 30. WNVT is in Fairfax, and they're actually on Channel 24, and they run 5 channels, and one of their channels is Al Jazeera. They relay it from the big satellite up in the sky. Anyhow, and so if you have your antenna TV here in Washington, put your little antenna up, your rabbit ears, tune to Channel 30-5. And you will get the Al Jazeera channel. They also carry a couple good services. RT, which is Russian television news channel, which is in English. They also have a Spanish version of that. And then there's NHK. They run the English language version of Japan's NHK. And then there's a Chinese Taiwan channel, I believe, and a Vietnamese channel. And they used to have a really cool Nigerian channel, which is no longer there. And they used to have a really cool South African news channel, SABC News, but apparently that was discontinued. So there's some other channels that replaced them. I think there's like an Ethiopian network. So there's 10 channels. If you've got cable in the Washington area, Verizon, Cox, Comcast, they usually are carrying all 10 channels somewhere on your dial. In Comcast's land, there are channels 271 to 279, 280, and I believe Al Jazeera is 275. So worth checking out. Also in this morning's post is the obit for Bob McBride. Bob passed away last week. He was a resident of Bethesda. He was 84. Apparently he'd had a stroke. But he was the anchor at Channel 4 during the early 1980s. He anchored with Jim Vance. Some interesting info in the obit that I didn't know. In the late 1940s, while working for WOIC, the CBS affiliate of Washington at the time, Bob McBride was a host of one of the earliest TV home repair shows. Of course, Channel 9's original call letters, at least, you know, as far back as I can remember, was WOIC. And then they became WTOP for many years. And WTOP calls stayed at Channel 9 up until the late 70s. And then they became WDVM. Washington Post had owned Channel 9 there in the 60s and early 70s. And then the Post swapped the station away to Detroit News. Detroit News came to own Channel 9 and became WDVM, and then eventually got sold to Gannett and became WUSA. Interestingly enough, the Washington Post company still owns the Detroit station that they swapped Channel 9 for. WDIV in Detroit, Channel 4, is owned by the Washington Post. Still, Washington Post owns a bunch of TV stations. They own a station in Hartford, WFSB. They own a station in Orlando, a couple of places, Miami. Interesting, they often put the initials of their some of their executives as their call letters. For instance, the station in Orlando, they changed the call letters to WKMG, Katharine Graham's initials. Katharine Graham, of course, was the grand dame of the Washington Post for many years. So the station down there in Orlando has her initials attached to it, something that some people probably didn't know. Okay, pulling out our grab bag of memories. Scott Feibush, who runs an excellent site, Northeast Radio Watch, puts out a tower calendar every year. And we had some ads on it on our site, DCRTV.com, for the 2011 version, which I have up in my office over there. But this is last year's version. And for March of last year, they had tower site calendars, the WTOP, the old WTOP, 1500 tower facility up there in Wheaton. This is now WFED. Even though it says WTOP, it's the backup transmitter, I believe, for 103.5 here, but it's the main transmitter for 1500, which for many years was WTOP, but is now WFED, Federal News Radio. So really cool Art Deco-y building. If you're driving down, gosh, I can't think of it. If you're driving through Wheaton there, over by George Avenue, a couple miles outside the Beltway, you'll see this really cool building, and it's really neato building. A lot of apparently, if something terrible happens to the Glass Enclosed Nerve Center, which is located in Idaho Avenue in D.C., apparently TOP people can man the whole station from here and run it from the outside the Beltway bunker for WTOP. Interesting there. Scott's got a great site, as you can see, Feibush. It's at feibush.com, Northeast Radio Watch. Check him out. He's a cool guy. And another little bit of memorabilia. We do run a site that has New York area radio news on it. Go to dcrtv.com/NYC and you will see it. And this is a New York TV station, so I don't know. I have this in my collection, and what the heck. Cool station where I think Geraldo Rivera started working there back before he joined Sleazy Tabs. Okay, yesterday's episode we did a quick rundown on some of Dave's record collection, so I thought I'd pick out some cool CDs from the A's and the B's to entertain you with today, to show you what's, if you really want to get educated in some cool music. So here we go. Let's do a quick flash. How about this? The Boomtown Rats, okay? Boomtown Rats. Wind chill factor -0. I Don't Like Mondays. Really good stuff there. Blur, another one of my cool favorite bands. Blur, 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 Blur. Love them. I went over to England a couple times and always liked Blur. Frank Black used to be with the Pixies, or still is. I don't even know if the Pixies are still around. This is a really cool album. Got a couple good songs, especially one called Los Angeles. The B-52 is one of my all-time favorite bands. Saw them at the Warner Theater back in like 1980. And I've always loved the B-52s. Magnificent band. This is their first album. It's got stuff like Planet Claire and Dance This Mess Around and Rock Lobster. Bauhaus, I've always loved them. Dark, Brood, Bela Lugosi's dead. The Associates, kind of a more obscure band out of England, but they're really kind of swirling, dreamy rock there. And finally, we end up with Laurie Anderson, who I've always liked, and magnificent album. This was from 1982 with Oh Superman, which is just it's wild. Anyhow. And of course, not to let you forget, but DCR-TV, one of our few honors. We were named the Best of Baltimore 2003. 2003. And we said as the best TV radio geek website. You know, there is no other website in Baltimore that comes close to us for giving you the best Baltimore media news, and yet this is the only year we've ever been nominated and won. You know, we should have won it in 04 and 05 and 06 and 010 and whatever. Go figure. I guess we're not paying off the right people. Anyhow, that's it for today. You have a good one. And don't forget to stay